Param Sad Asad Atmakam. Synonyms and translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ye, those who twa on you, ananyena, without deviation, bhavena, with devotion, bhavayanti, meditate, atma bhavanam, who generates all living entities, atmani, within yourself, prota, linked, bhuvanam, all the planets, param, the supreme, sad, effect, asad, cause, atmakam, generator. Translation. O Lord, all these planets exist within yourself, and all the living entities are generated from you. Therefore, you are the cause of this universe, and anyone who meditates upon you without deviation attains devotional service. Next verse. Tesham supakva yoganam jitva swasendriyatmanam labdha yushmat prasadanam na kutaschit prabhavah. Tesham supakva yoganam jitva swasendriya atmanam labdha yushmat prasadanam na kutaschit parabhava. Tesham supakva yoganam jita swasendriya atmanam labdha yushmat prasadanam na kutaschit parabhava. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tesham, of them, su pakva yoganam, who are mature mystics, jita, controlled, swasa, breathe, indriya, the senses, atmanam, the mind, labdha, attain, yushmat, your, prasadanam, mercy, na, not, kutaschit, anywhere, parabhava, defeat. Translation. There is no defeat in this material world for persons who control the mind and senses by controlling the breathing process and who are therefore experienced mature mystics. This is because by such perfection in yoga, they have attained your mercy. The purpose of yogic performances is explained here. It is said that an experienced mystic attains full control of senses and the mind by controlling the breathing process. Therefore, controlling the breathing process is not the ultimate aim of yoga. The real purpose of yogic performances is to control the mind and the senses. Anyone who has control is to be understood to be experienced, mature, mystic yogi. It is indicated herein that a yogi who has control over the mind and senses has the actual benediction of the Lord, and he has no fear. In other words, one cannot attain the mercy of benediction of the Supreme Lord until one is able to control the mind and the senses. This is actually possible when one fully engages in Krishna consciousness. A person whose senses and mind are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord has no possibility of engaging in material activities. The devotees of the Lord are not defeated anywhere in the universe. It is stated, Narayana Para Sarve. One who is Narayana Para or a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not afraid anywhere, whether he is sent to hell or promoted to heaven. Do the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. First of all, my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. My humble obeisances to His Grace Madhupati Prabhu for engaging me in this seva so that I can engage my mind, purify my heart, do some Shastra reading. We are reading in the, so we'll first go through the context and then we'll discuss about the verse and the purport little detail. So in chapter number 14, Mahatma Vidur is asking Maitreya Muni that please tell me more about this pastime. How did this fight between? Why did Varahadev killed Hiranyaksh, and how did this whole engagement happen? So Maitreya Muni is saying that I have heard this in my using the disciplic succession, this katha, and I'll tell you that story, what happened, as it was told by Lord Brahma. Okay. And then he goes on, and then in the chapter number 14, he has described how Mother Diti, following a very untimely scenario, is pregnant, is impregnated by Kashyap Muni, and now she gets to know that her offsprings, or the children born of her womb because of this untimely pregnancy will actually cause disturbance to this world. But she also has some solace for two reasons. One is that she gets to know that these children of her, demonic children of her, will actually be killed by Krishna himself. And second is that she will have, because of her repentance, she will have bhakta born in her family lineage, a bhakta like Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj. So after that, now at the beginning of chapter 15, we read that her pregnancy is causing darkness throughout the universe. Is actually the effect of her pregnancy is so powerful that it's actually causing darkness. And what happens when darkness comes, it's overpowering the sun, is that there is no difference between day and night. And when there is no difference between day and night, then the nitya karmas are actually stopped. There is a problem in performing, things which are to be done in the morning, things which are done the, at the sandhyas, and then things which are done in the evening and the night. So that whole situation is disturbing the demigods. So demigods, they approach to Lord Brahma, and these two verses which we are reading here are actually addressed by uh, Lord Indra, who is leading the this convoy of demigods, and then is actually addressing it, is praising Lord Brahma. So, O Lord, all these planets exist within you, within yourself, and all the living entities are generated from you. Therefore, you are the cause of this universe, and anyone who meditates upon you without deviation attains devotional service. And then when we read this, it feels more like, that these are actually being addressed to um, Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. So, how do we understand that these glorifications which are being offered, are actually, offered to Lord Brahma or Lord Supreme Personality of God? So, we can understand it in this way, that first is that Srila Bhakti Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Tika, he is saying that Ananya Bhavena can refer to the worshippers of Hiranyagarbha. So, these Hiranyagarbha is actually a name which is given to Lord Brahma, because he is born out of the lotus, the lotus, the golden lotus, which is emanating from the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. But at the same time, Hiranyagarbha also refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So, that's one way to understand. Okay. The second point is that, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further in his Tika, actually, just before Lord Brahma starts speaking, he is actually smiling, and then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that he is smiling because he is saying that, oh, the ignorant praise me, I am useless to deliver them from this difficulty. So that's the reason he is smiling. So Lord Brahma is fully aware. From here we can understand that he is fully aware, and then he is not accepting these praises as Supreme Personality of Godhead, but rather he is accepting these praises as the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that case, then how do we understand that these words actually being said here, that all these planets exist within you, and all living entities are generated from you, therefore you're the cause of this universe. So all these is actually not correct for Lord Brahma? No, that's correct actually. Why it is correct? So we can also see that the creation happens at two stages. Sarga and Visarga. So Sarga is done by the Sarga is the creation which happens at Mahavishnu level and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu level. But then after that, all these living entities are actually generated by Lord Brahma. So when he meditates for 1000 demigod years, on Krishna, and then from there he gets the knowledge, and then he starts the procreation process. Okay. And one of the first living entities he creates is these four Kumaras, who will come into this. So their story will actually start, that how they approach the Vaikuntha planet. Okay. The other thing is that I was in last year's Philly Yatra, Philly Rath Yatra, Philadelphia Rath Yatra. Kadam Kanan Maharaj, His Holiness Kadam Kanan Maharaj, was actually explaining, on the side, that sometimes these devotees, because they are so much devoted to Krishna and so much surrendered to Krishna, that they acquire some of the qualities of Krishna. For example, this omniscient, sarvagya, this is a quality which is actually of Supreme Personality of Godhead. That he is omnipresent, he is omniscient. But we also see the example that Narad Muni, he is omnipresent as well. So how he is omnipresent is, how we can understand that part, that he is omnipresent, is that we can see that how he actually, when Dhruva Maharaj, all these important events are to happen, and then he suddenly appears there. So from there we can understand. For example, in case of Prahlad Maharaj, but when Devatas were kidnapping Kayadu and wanted to destroy her womb, where Prahlad Maharaj was there, suddenly Narad Muni appears. Then second instance is when Dhruva Maharaj leaves the house and is going to forest to meditate on Krishna. There also Narad Muni appears, and then he is actually, so he is showing the omnipresent potency of Krishna, and then he also understands the heart of Dhruva Maharaj, that what is he thinking about, what is he going through. Okay. And then he actually is showing this omniscient quality of Supreme Personality of Godhead as well. So from here we can understand that devotees develop these qualities. Okay. Now another part here which we can understand is that who meditates upon you without deviation attains devotional service. So how does meditating on Lord Brahma is helping us attain the devotional service? So Krishna says, in Bhagavad Gita, third chapter, that Devan bhavayetanina te deva bhavayantu parasparam bhavayanta shreyah param vapasyatha. So he is saying that I have given you all these different modes of sacrifices, and then you use this to please devatas, devan bhavayata. And once those devatas are happy, they will make you happy. Te deva bhavayantu. And then parasparam bhavayanta, by being making each other devatas, and then the common people pleasing, and then you actually shreya param vapasyata, you actually come to me. So from here we can understand that how just by that's a slow process, because we also know that uh, even when we are actually worshipping demigods, we are worshipping Krishna only, because he's um, he's the one who is present in all the sacrifices. you know. Uh, but that's avidhi purvakam. It's a long process. You have to understand that part. Uh, but if we know the direct process, that just surrender to Krishna, and then uh, you know um, offer services to Krishna, then we do not have to go through this lengthy long process. But in the context of this verse, that when they are praising, devatas are praising Lord Brahma, that you are the cause of this universe, and anyone who meditates upon you without deviation attains devotional service. That's clarifying that part, that how that is actually in uh, is trying to understand that how it can be understood in the context of Bhagavad Gita, the message which is being given there and then here is same. Okay. Then the next part is that there is no defeat in this material world for person who controls the mind and senses by controlling the breathing process, and who are therefore experienced mature mystic. So we see that modern day yogis, Prabhupada is actually explaining that the real purpose of the controlling senses in the mind is actually not to have sense gratification, but have yoga, or the real purpose of yogic performance is to control the mind and senses. But what we see in modern age is that the real purpose of the yogic process, or different asanas and pranayamas, is so that we can enhance our sense gratification. Okay, that's not the real purpose. The real purpose is to actually be in to be actually control these senses, and then apply it in the service of Krishna. Okay, but controlling of the mind and senses, Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita that chanchalam hi mana Krishna parmathi balad dridham tasyam nigraham manye vayor ivasu dushkaram. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. Now this mind is very restless, chanchala. Parmathi, balad dridham. It's actually it's very powerful, and then it's very obstinate. The mind is very powerful and obstinate. Okay, tasyam nigraham manye. Please think that controlling tasyam means controlling this mind. Nigraham, nigraham is controlling. Manye, please think. Vayur eva su duskaram. Controlling mind is easier or difficult. Controlling mind is difficult than controlling the wind. So we all know that how difficult it is. It's impossible to control the wind. Vayur eva. But controlling mind is even more difficult than controlling the air, the wind. So from here now, but the simple process of controlling mind and the senses is that providing it higher purpose. What is the higher purpose? Higher purpose is, for example, if somebody has, we all know these examples that repeating again and again will actually help us make a stronger footprint of it in our mind, and then start applying. So example given is that if somebody has sugar and then a rasgulla, now what will that person prefer? Of course rasgulla. That is higher taste. Taste of both is sweet, but one is of the higher in nature. Okay. So similarly, the sense object for eyes is to look at beauty. Uh, but who is more beautiful than Krishna? Similarly, the sense object of tongue is to taste or to talk. Okay. So, what is more tasteful than the Mahaprasad, offered to Krishna? Mahaprasade Govinde. Uh, and then, what is worthy of talking than glorifying Krishna? So that's our uh, that's the process through which we can actually control these senses, actually not controlling but providing them higher purpose, higher taste, and through that engaging these senses in the service of Krishna. Okay. So that is the process which is explained. Okay. And then further in the chapter, Lord Brahma will start describing that how four Kumaras actually reach the Vaikuntha planets, and then there they confront Jay and Vijay, and then Jay and Vijay, their four Kumaras then curse Jay and Vijay that your behavior is not suitable for Vaikuntha planet, so you please uh, go down the uh, to the material world where uh, lust, anger, all these three problems are there, and you can actually get purified. Okay? And then they have the audience of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's what is actually the overall synopsis of this chapter. And for these two verses, I wanted to touch base upon that, how what are the how do we understand these 2 points, that understanding the glorification of Lord Brahma, which is very similar to when we in the morning are glorifying through our Sansara Dava prayers or Sri Guru Charana Padma, Guru Puja, that we are approaching Supreme Personality of Godhead through a devotee, through the parampara. So similarly here, devatas are actually trying to approach Supreme Personality of Godhead. They cannot directly, so they're going through Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma is also accepting their prayers in the same bhava. Okay? And then on the controlling of the minds and senses, that we provide them higher purpose, just by controlling is actually कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य नियम्यारभते अर्जुन indriyarthan vimudhatma mityachara sauchyate. Just by subduing the senses, but always meditating on this again, from the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the karmendriyani sanyamya, by controlling our indriyas, our sense objects, niyamyaravate arjuna, and then ya aste manasa smaran, karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasa smaran. But in the mind, we are always, what we are doing is indriyartha. How do I, all those things which are the objects of the senses, we are meditating on that, mityachara sauchyate. That's actually nothing but a hypocrite's show business, that you're trying to just show off. That's not the right way. The right way is that karmendriye karma yogam. You using your senses. What you do is you use it in the service of Krishna. So with that, I would like to stop here. think we are a minute over. So we can, if there are any discussions, we can take it up in Nityam Bhagavad Seva. Okay. Over to you, Madhupati Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Akhilesh Krsna. Nice backdrop of Shishigonitai. Shishigonitai ki jai. I'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting 3 times. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jai Nrsinga, Jai Nrsinga, Praladesha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa, Ravira
Raviram Mahavishnu Jalantam Sarvatomukham Narsingham Vishnu Bhadram Vichimurchi Ramamya
Bhagwan ki Jai,
Jai
Maharaj ki
Jai.
I'd like to offer our humble obeisances to all the Samar Vaishnavas, Vancha Kalpataru,
Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripasindhu Bhave Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah
Vaishnavinda ki,
Jai
Srimad Bhagavatam ki,
Jai
Prabhupada ki.
Jai
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hari 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 Bol. Thank you everybody. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.